Um, there are in the Afrocentric soup. There is the claim that the Jews, the white Jews, are imposters. That the real Jews are the blacks. That the real Jews are the blacks. That the real Jews are the blacks.
I think about last year or last 2 years, I can't remember, but COVID is making everyone lose track of time. There's a TV presenter in America called Nick Cannon. I'm not sure if you've heard of him.
No.
Okay,
no,
so
I don't. I would like to know who he is.
Okay, he used to present America Got Talent, like a TV show, but he also hosts a podcast where he talked about Semitism, and he said that he said something that got him in trouble. You know, you can still hear me, okay?
Mm.
Okay, he said something that got him into trouble. That he lost a lot of jobs, and he said that the original Semitic people are Africans, are black people,
Why? And this is just a question that I have, and even coming from the aspect of if the true children of Israel, if we're speaking of the Jewish community, if we're speaking of the Abrahamic faiths that Islam comes from, that Judaism comes from, that Christianity comes from, all comes from Abraham. And we are all speaking of brotherhood and unity. Why is this division? Why is it such a problem? Why is there so much fear, specifically in the black community, in the Jewish community? And I'm kind of, this is a leading question which I want to get to, but why is it such a problem to speak the truth? Who are they? When we speak of, because this is where it truly is, and we talk about those the six corporations, when we go as deep as the Rothschilds, centralized banking, those the 13 families, the bloodlines that control everything, even outside of America. When we talk about the people who, if we were truly the children of Israel, and we're defining who the Jewish people are, because I feel like if we actually can understand that construct, then we can see that there is no hate involved. When we talk about the lies, the deceit, how the fake dollar controls all of this, then maybe we can get to the reason why they wanted to silence you, why they want to silence Minister Farrakhan, and they want to throw that we are having hate speech when it's never hate speech, when it's not. You can't be anti-Semitic when we are the Semitic people, when we are the same people that who they want to be. That's our birthright.
That's our birthright.
Okay, he said something that got him into trouble, that he lost a lot of jobs, and he said that the original Semitic people are Africans, are black people, and that was considered anti-Semitic. And then he lost his job and things like that. But so I'm thinking logically, if 600 to 700 years ago, if the human race as we know it existed only in Africa, about 700,000 years ago, or 700 years ago, several thousand. So if we existed only in Africa, so it makes sense to say that the origin of everything comes from there.
Yeah, it's a camp. You know what I mean by a camp? It's a camp. Yeah, it's a camp. You know what I mean by a camp? It's a camp.
No,
it's a position.
Okay.
A camp. I mean, it's there are in the Afrocentric soup. There is the claim that the Jews, the white Jews, are imposters. That the real Jews are the blacks. And there are some trends who follow this idea.
Okay. No, I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't say that the Jewish people in Israel are imposters. That wouldn't be a right thing to say. But if logically humans, as we know it, originates from Africa.
Yeah. Biologically,
by logic,
it's absolutely and it's proved.
Yes.
Now.
Yes. So
it has been proved.
So the Jewish people in Israel will be referred to as the descendants of the Jewish people in Africa, and not the other way around.
Not on the other way. Difficult to make it admitted by them. Difficult to make it admitted by them. Difficult to make it admitted by them. Professor Mativa, who was the leader of the South Africa Lamba tribe, with a Jewish skull cap on his head and a Jewish cloak covering his shoulders. And he was explaining that his people were one of the lost tribes of Israel. I'm going to quote him because it's very interesting. He said, "The Lamba are Jews. We are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the rest of them all. Those are our blood relatives. We came from the Israelites. We came from Sena. We crossed the sea, and we made iron and gold and pottery as we came down through Africa." End of the quotation. It must be said that the Lamba's distinctive cultural elements, their traditions, their saga of origins, their food taboos, their ritual slaughter of animals, their circumcision rites, and their endogamy clearly suggested that they could be of Hebrew descent. It seems that ethnographers and missionaries from the early 20th century propagated the idea of an Hebrew descent of the Lamba. And they did so in placing emphasis on their differences from groups among whom they lived. Of course, as you can imagine, I was deeply intrigued by the issue. Who could think of lost Jewish tribes in Africa? Would there be other unsuspected Jewish claimants in the continent? Had the mythic image of the Beta Israel, the so-called Falasha, as the lost tribe of Dan in Ethiopia, had this mythic image produced echoes throughout Africa? If such people existed, their stories deserve to be told, not only to satisfy my curiosity, but also to fill in some of the gaps of our understanding of the penetration of Jewish ideas in Africa. The paucity of academic studies on Judaism in Africa and the paradoxical dimension of an African Jewish religious identity stimulated me a lot to undertake the research on which my first book, The Black Jews of Africa, is based.
You refer to the lost tribe, and as someone from Igbo tribe in Nigeria, I always hear about we being of Jewish descendant and the lost tribe, but I never really take it seriously, because there's a lot of people that talk about being of Jewish descendant. So until you mentioned my tribe in your book as well, so I was wondering if you can give a background on the lost tribe. How did that come to be?
Okay, as you are of Igbo origin, you may have heard of Olaudah Equiano. I don't know if you heard of him. He was also known as Gustavus Vassa. In fact, he was a slave. but not only a slave. According to Equiano himself, he was born in 1745 in an Igbo village in the southwest of Nigeria, his father being an hereditary tribal chief. When he was 11 years old, he was kidnapped and sold to British slave traders who sent it everywhere, to the West Indies, etc. Over the next 30 years, while passing from master to master, he acquired many skills and traveled widely to varied places. Equiano was an educated man, and he published a book that I recommend, The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Olaudah Equiano, or Gustavus Vassa the African. He published this book in London in 1789. This book had an immediate success and ran into several re-editions. It is both a spiritual autobiography, a slave narrative, and a travel book. Equiano, who was Baptist, a Christian, was a pious man imbued with the text of the Old Testament. His autobiography includes a striking description of religion and culture among the Igbo. He draws parallels between the fate of the slaves and the Hebrews. He mined a trove of biblical commentary to claim that the Igbo were descended from ancient Jews and that their religion was a modern survival of ancient biblical religion. Equiano's book spread in Nigeria and elsewhere. The idea that the Igbo, and why not other Africans people, could descend from the lost time. It must be said that the Exodus and the recognition of the Ethiopian Jews, identified as the lost tribe of Dan in the 1980s and the 1990s, have led to an interest in such development and in the development of similar lost tribes' identity in other parts of Africa.
What's your thoughts? Please be respectful with your comments. Also, please click the like, click the notification bell, and subscribe to this channel.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.